Yo, Kyle.
Yep.
Uh-oh.
YouTube's been screwing up too. I'm in trying to catch up with the wheel because the chat froze up again.
All right. Welcome to paraglidingtalk.com. I'm your host, Robert
Hmm.
Michaels. Glad that you're here. Kylo's having some he's having some technical difficulties over there. I got you muted for now, Kyle, until we can figure out what's going on. Glad that you're here. Coronavirus is at bay. We're all at bunkers and we're all hiding out. You're joined tonight by Craig Taylor, Sean Nafsker, and also Anthony Softbottom Peregringo.
Technical difficulties.
And Kyle Lowe's with us tonight as the
All right, I'm
special
gonna log
guest.
out and try to log back in.
We're going to ask him some questions tonight. We are going to have a great time. This will be a great show. So glad that you're here. I just got a text from Matt Minyard. He's texted me here. I want to just make sure Paramotor
Can you
names.
hear me now?
Nice.
We're breaking the
All right.
internet.
Can you hear me, Kyle?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right.
Are we on? Are we good?
We're live. Yeah, we're doing it live.
Wow.
Glad that you're here tonight. I do want to just real quick go through the order of business. This show is sponsored by ppgsmoke.com. Go check out the website. All kinds of things for smoke machines, paramotor, strobe lights, lamels, chase cams, even floats. Ryan Roberts has the best products on the market right now and keeping it very reasonable on the cost. Go check out his website, ppgsmoke.com. Show is also brought to you by paramotorprops.com. If you're looking for a great deal on props, maybe you exploded one of your props, you can buy a new one for cheap, probably cheaper than you're going to find it anywhere else. Paramotorprops.com. Show is also brought to you by guys from flymyppg.com. That's the group in Michigan. If you're in that area, you want to get some professional training, reach out to Mike and his team, Mike Cotter at flymyppg.com. The show is also brought to you by one of my favorites. It's Nebraska PPG. Josh Bowden, go check out his website. And there's a link in the description to all these guys. So appreciate all the sponsors of the show. If you want to be a sponsor of the show, let me know. Reach out to me at the website, paraglidingtalk.com, and I will hook you up and get you tied in to some advertising. So appreciate you. Also, thank you for the shirt. Torrey Pines Glider Port hooked up with a few T-shirts and sent some out to some of you. And so glad that we can have a local organization, free flying training from Torrey Pines. Glad that they're on board with sponsoring the show. Kylo, thank you, man, for taking the time to come on the show. And
it's all right. I was working late, treating the coronavirus and everything.
Oh, yeah. You got anything? What do you got in there for
got
coronavirus?
Hydroxychloroquine.
Oh, you got
500
some, huh?
count.
Yeah, that's the same stuff that they use for malaria, isn't it?
And arthritis and a few other things.
So I heard it might be that might be the ticket to freedom for people that have it. I
just found out today, there's people started asking, you got any hydroxychloroquine? It's like, yeah, we always do. Apparently that's a remedy or a remedy. I don't know. Yeah. They found some effectiveness against it, but
price just went up.
I don't think it's that big of a thing anyway. Just kind of stay hydrated, stay healthy, just like you treat any virus, respiratory virus.
Yep.
Unless you're already real sick or something. So.
By the way, thank you for this. You spared me a couple of cold sores already.
Heck yeah. Magic potion, baby.
That's right.
Mixing stuff up all the time.
Yeah, that stuff works. Well, I do want to start off the show by saying that thank you for everyone's prayers for Doug Martin. He's home now. He had an accident. If you didn't hear about that, he went through a frozen lake, busted both of his legs, broke his back, broke his skull. He cracked an eye socket and almost drowned and froze to death, but a patron saved his life. He was paramotoring some kind of rocky winds and went down pretty hard. He's doing better. He's at home. He's recovering. And so shout out to him. And glad to hear that he's 4 weeks away from getting his casts off. So keep praying for him for speedy recovery, and really appreciate him being a part of the show. He's been watching the show for a time. I'm not sure if he's watching tonight, but anyways, glad that you're here. If you're in the chat, your name's being written down, and it's going into a wheel. We're going to spin the wheel. We're going to give something away tonight. So I'm glad that you're here. We've got 82 people watching. Kyle, you're a local celebrity
I shouldn't be.
Yeah, you shouldn't be, huh? I noticed you're
Uh,
creeping up on that 10,000 mark on the
Am I?
old
Oh,
YouTube.
wow.
Yeah,
Fun stuff, man. I wonder if they'll
8,000
send me
some.
like a reward or something for that.
I think you get a
Probably
button
not. Probably
with
not.
100,000, 100,000.
A certificate, like a pre-printed
No.
certificate.
Yeah, you get a button.
Welcome
you
to the 10,000 club. That's like the 2 Mile High Club, right?
Yeah. You get the button. That's it. All right. You get it's a bronze. Start off with a bronze button.
So that's
made
where
out
all
of
the
pennies.
toilet paper went. Paragringo's been hiding it.
Dude, Paragringo is
Yeah.
hoarding big time.
Yeah, that's what it's looking like. He's got a mountain back there, Mount Charmin.
We went this morning.
Guarded by the old lady.
Wonder if you can get any good ridge lift off of that.
Something tells me he's not struggling with the coronavirus over there. He's dealing with something else entirely.
Yeah,
with
so
something else.
are you guys been socially isolating? Is that what it's called?
Social distancing? Yes.
Social distancing. That's right. I don't watch TV. I can't keep up with the vocabulary.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to do some of that this weekend. It's looking like proper weather in the mountains, perhaps.
Yeah. Tomorrow.
And I'm off work because I've been working hard, man. I could barely even return an email. It's been like a week. All I've done is fill prescriptions. People are panicking in here just like they are everywhere, I guess. Yeah, it's a big mess.
Yep. Well, anyways, I didn't get a chance to talk to you before the show. We weren't supposed to talk about the coronavirus or anything like that, or I was going to demonetize, but that's fine. The Patreon supporters take care of that. They fill the gap where YouTube blocks me. Right. So, but I do want to say thank you so much for making time to come on the show. I'm going to talk a little bit about something. Let's just dive right in. I want to talk about site preservation. And I had a thought before the show. I was reading through some comments, and I think it was Kevin Can Fly shared something on his social media that said he was flying at a place where technically property belonged to some guy, and when he came into land, there was a police there, and he talked to police. They were cool, everything's fine, but he can't fly there anymore. And I wanted
was
to
he motoring or free flying?
Yeah, motoring.
Those tend to cause the most problems. You see more people lose, which, motoring does give you a lot more options as well. Free flight sites, people tend to not care until somebody gets hurt. Then they like, oh, well, maybe we shouldn't. But yeah, motoring, just the noise is usually enough for somebody to say, carry that stuff somewhere else, please.
Yeah, they called the police. I guess the police were cool, but
usually they are.
The guy was interested in flying.
Yeah.
That's what I heard. So
well, anytime I have run-ins with cops, I just treat them with a little respect and, tell a joke or two. And usually it's a good interaction. There's always that, 1 in 20 of any group of people that's kind of a butthole, but
it's so rare in my experience that if you're respectful to the police, yes, sir, no, sir, whatever, however it goes down, they usually
there's guns and drugs in here, but it's all legal, I swear.
Yeah.
If you need the gloves, are right there on the passenger seat, is it?
Yeah.
My wife just she just caught me. She was like, "Where'd you go?"
Where have you been for like a half hour?
I gave somebody a test drive on the Jeep.
In the bunker. He's in the bunker.
I'm in the bunker, babe. I'm in the bunker.
How fitting, we've all got these. I'm in the drugstore, in the bunker.
Yeah.
He's got the tickets, the crapper tickets.
Yep.
John's where he needs to be. And Craig, yes, sir, Craig.
Craig's supporting you.
He's in my shop.
Yeah.
Keeping an eye on the other screens too. See.
Yeah.
Love it.
He's actually on this side of my bunker.
Ready for the apocalypse. I never thought it would be like this.
I know. I didn't think it was going to go down from something like this.
No, but
whatever.
I'm so ready to fly, man. It's been a year since I was out in San Diego.
It's almost like, go time too.
This is the week,
I think so.
Yeah, it looks like I looked at your weather the other day just for reminiscence sake, and y'all are getting the big rain, and then everything's getting ready to bloom and get lush again. And
yep.
Wow, you're gonna have a week of good flying coming up.
Yeah, it should be flyable tomorrow. That's what I'm hoping for, anyways.
Heck yes.
Yeah. So, what would you say is the most important thing to do, to consider? You being a person who owns some property, you can fly from your own backyard, but a lot of people don't have that convenience. Let's expound a little bit on site preservation and maybe talk about your experiences with working with airfields. You've got some places where you've flown out of airfields, and how is it that you keep your relationship good with those guys?
Man, I give them tandem rides. That's the ticket.
Oh, that's a good one.
No, in all seriousness, just like dealing with the authorities is, little respect, ask them what they need, never leave any trash, never leave any ruts, always offer to help if anybody's doing anything, and just stay out of the way of the airplanes. If there's airplanes, that's the rule. That's what anybody who's ever owned a place that let me fly there said, was just stay out of the way of the airplanes. Know your traffic patterns, know where to fly, how to fly. And again, just a little bit of respect, if the owner comes around. But yeah, giving the grandchildren tandem rides is surely a good tick in the proper side of the book there, So, but yeah,
that's a good idea.
Just anything, just play it safe. Don't go out there and do anything that looks stupid, low anyway.
Yeah, a lot of people don't really
and
know.
We're in a different part of the world here too. This is the the deep South. I guess people have a little more, what you'd call it, Southern hospitality, so to speak. I didn't realize it was such a problem until I traveled north and west, that there were, such buttholes in the world.
There's a few.
Yeah, just a couple.
Just like
it was
anything.
just a bad stroke of luck, but just the people. I flew by a golf course one day. It wasn't like I was lingering. It was in Wyoming, and it was like the day before the eclipse. I was just riding my paramotor around town, and I just went by a golf course, like just straight line flying about 500 feet. And as I passed this guy, man, he just held the bird up bigger than Rip at me, and
No kidding.
kind of like, wow, that's mean. Like, sorry I disturbed you for so long, like the whole minute or so that it took me to fly by. But yeah, people are what they are,
That might have been just jealousy. He wanted to fly, but
Could have been. So, but it's usually the noise. I mean, with paramotors specifically, I try not to fly in any one place too many times for too long. And oddly enough, I get more negativity out of that around here, because inevitably every time I fly, like a week later, somebody will come in this drugstore and say, we saw you fly over the other day, and I ran in to get the kids to come look, and we came out and you were gone. And I'm just like, yeah, I try to not to linger anywhere for too long. It's rare that that's the case. Most of the time I think Woody said it best. He said, the first time they see one, it's like, oh, that's cool. Look at that. And the second time they see one, it's like, oh, it's that thing again. Check it out. And then the third time, it's like, I wish they would go somewhere else with that. And
yeah.
That's
Start shooting the paintball gun at you.
yeah, exactly. But you get all types. Luckily we do have some freedoms left in the world as far as aviation goes, and nobody owns the airspace unless it's owned airspace. The U.S. government, I guess. But it's legal for us to use, and so I feel like we can share. That's always been kind of my perspective on it. I've had like Little League and T-ball. I've had the people that run the T-ball league come to me and say, man, could you just maybe not fly over there while we're having a game, because the game stopped. If a paramotor comes over,
Right.
the kid just game stop, and you get all the parents complaining about it. And I see it from both sides, but on the other side of the coin, it's my right to go fly around too. I never linger or do circles around the field, but if you're within earshot or eyesight of those kids, they're going to stop and stare. So I understand that too, but every now and then we have to cross paths with people in crowds like that. And, hopefully it's all for the best, as long as you don't do it every time. I feel like there's a happy medium somewhere in between there. There usually is. So
See, my
as far as
question
losing
would-
a site, that's a tough one. If it's private land, I mean, again, just feeling out the owners and finding out what their requests are, what they want out of the deal, if they're going to let you fly there. Can I have other people come? Some sites just get overrun. Tucker Gott had that thing up in his place where all of a sudden, it went from him to everybody flying there. And so they had to put the ixnay on, just the sheer numbers of people. And I've had weird feelings about that with, like I see the sport growing and, more and more people are coming out and you get a good spot like an airfield and maybe somebody's letting you train there. And then all of a sudden one day there's 20 people there. And even if you're doing everything right, maybe somebody else, flies out in front of an airplane. I've witnessed it a couple of times and it's always like, oh, just hang your head in shame, because it reflects on everybody. So it's good to stay vigilant. Keep your eyes on head on a swivel, eyes wide open, keep that sky scanned and make sure you're not getting in front of anybody's airplane.
I'm dropping a video on Saturday morning. Just got done editing it. I was at Torrey Pines and I had a helicopter fly by me.
Wow.
And it was right at the same level as me. And I just saw this video of the helicopter wash and guy's wing just folding up.
It'll smoke you. Yeah.
Oh man, it looked scary. And so there I was flying right there at Torrey Pines. Now he was far enough out that it didn't get us, but there was probably 10, 15 gliders right around that same altitude. And then about 10 minutes later, an airplane flew right underneath me.
Yeah.
Little
And somewhere
Cessna.
like Torrey, you got to consider that the air there is pushing up. So that rotor may not be sinking. It may be lifting up, even if you're at the same level as the plane, well, that rotor may lift right up to where you're at if it's close enough. Food for thought. If you're out there in that situation, you got to kind of imagine where it's moving as the air's moving. If somebody lit a smoke grenade right there, where would that smoke go? It'd probably ride up that hill. So you got to expect the rotors are going to do the same thing.
Yeah, pretty spooky. The video that I saw was a guy kiting at the beach and he was about 10, 15 feet off the ground. He ran off this. Oh, you saw it? Yeah.
Yeah. He got smashed by it.
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully he just poofed in the sand and it was no factor, but
yeah. Cartoon.
You could tell it was real too, because you always know it's real when the phone immediately goes down to the dirt.
Yeah.
Like you never see the aftermath, that's real stuff going on.
Yep. That was brutal.
That's what I heard an interview with somebody that worked at the America's Funniest Videos, and they were like, how do you know somebody's faking? And they said the camera doesn't move. They said when it's real, inevitably when something happens, the camera drops, moves, and it's a real reaction. So
I've got a friend of mine that he won second place on America's Funniest Home Videos.
Oh, cool.
On a paragliding video. He did a tandem in South Africa and they were running. There was no wind. It was a brutal launch and he got dragged on launch, on his belly for a while. And
old snake launch.
Yep. And he stands up, he's holding the GoPro. So he stands up and he said, I was running. And the guy was telling him, you didn't run. He said, I was running. It's a pretty funny video. Yeah. He got some money for that. Pretty
Heck
cool.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
That was the best show on TV for a long time.
Yeah.
For sure. Back when I used to watch it. Somebody asked me today, like, how long's it been since you had TV? And it's 11 years now. I did the math the other day, how much money I've saved so far from not paying a TV bill. And it's like $12,000, like the price of a brand new paramotor and paraglider, like pimp, nice, shiny stuff, because it was like $109 a month times 11 years. Yeah, it adds up pretty quick. So, if you just take your TV bill and put it in a jar, a decade later, you can buy new just about anything. So,
right now,
think about.
Matt Minyard just said that he was the one that got rotored by that helicopter.
Ah, nice.
He did
I
it
knew.
for fun.
Yeah, he was the one who posted the video. I didn't know that was him.
I didn't know it was him either. You know who
That sounds
picked it
like
up?
Minyard shenanigans.
Yeah. It was on I think an Instagram something or other. By the way, you can follow the show on Instagram, Paragliding Talk on Instagram. There's all kinds of shenanigans on there from the show and flying stuff.
So I guess the correct question to ask those guys, when the kids are playing softball and all that is, what, you mean they don't naturally just stare up at the sky like that with the lights on and stuff?
Well, I've seen a butterfly stop a T-ball game cold, so you can imagine. Yeah, every kid on the field, like a little butterfly come flittering across the field when my kid was playing T-ball. Every kid, every one of them. They all turned as it went out to the outfield. And by the time it hit the fence, every one of the kids was looking out of the fence at this butterfly. It's quite funny, man. I wish I would have been videoing that because it was rather hilarious.
It trips me out how you'll fly just boating around the whole city. Just, this is the park over here. This is my neighbor's house. And you just go through. That's like the dream, to be able to literally just fly around. And
yes,
it's so cool.
It is. Love it.
Yeah.
Every time. It never gets old.
Yeah.
Even the same old flight every time I do it. What I imagine gets old is, I don't know, people watching the videos of me doing the same flight over and over again. I just can't imagine people would be entertained about me flying circles around Shongaloo, Louisiana on a paramotor.
That's the dream, man. That is the dream.
Heck yes.
Let's talk a little bit about safety. And a lot of people come here every week because they want to be a safer pilot and learn something that might save their life. What do you have to offer the guys that have been flying for a little bit of time now?
Go higher.
Go higher?
Yeah.
Fly higher.
Altitude. That's your safety cushion. No matter what type of aviation you're doing, gives you time, gives you options, nothing to hit. It's when you start getting brave and getting low and trying stuff that, without enough altitude, or, even hitting helicopter rotor. I mean, either be right on the ground or, way up there, because, could be trouble. If Minyard was at 50 feet and that happened, that could have been way bad. At 10 feet, maybe not. Over a sandy beach, again, kind of, I might jump off of a roof if I hit like some soft sand, because that's about what you're going to get. And then you got to think about anything above that, what's going to happen. But as far as safety, yeah, just go high. That's literally the best thing you could do. And, give yourself, when I'm doing like new acro stuff or trying out new tricks, or, if the air is just bad, if it's thermally, I try to give myself if like a 500-foot floor, if I'm at that altitude, like I'm ready to grab the reserve handle, because that's the only shot you got at it about that point. I mean, you may get lucky if you throw it at 100 feet, but it would require luck to get it out at that altitude. So, and that's where bad things are going to happen. So higher the better. And, know where you're going to go too, with the box, know where your box is. That's a big thing. If you're going to be doing fun stuff or new stuff or trying out things that you've never done, put yourself in a good position. Safety, communication, having a way to communicate. I did a video recently about flying alone, and all those things could translate to, even if there's people around, having a way to communicate probably being the number one thing, or having a plan. If you are alone, letting somebody know where you're going to be, what you're going to be doing, when to expect you back. Those are all kind of sideline things that you can do before the flight, and that are huge in the interest of safety. If something did happen, if you went down and took a busted leg or busted a gut or something, and you maybe you couldn't call for help. If somebody was expecting that call from you, like, hey, babe, I landed, and they didn't get that, maybe they could call out the cavalry for you or come looking. And, there was a situation, I wasn't personally, witness to it or anything, but it was a story told on the mountain a few years ago. And it happened several years before that, but a guy went down hard and he didn't have cell service, or his cell phone got broke, and he didn't tell anybody where he was going or how long he's going to be gone, and he couldn't communicate. And he laid there for like 10 hours before he died. Oh, just because he couldn't tell anybody the situation that he was in. And that one kind of stuck with me. That story was like, and that was what made me decide to get the satellite communicator, little Garmin InReach. Yeah, exactly. The Mini, same thing. I got the same one, except I got the black model. You're not as cool as me.
Oh, dang.
I'm tactically better than you, Robert.
Let me get a black marker. Of
course, if I drop it in the dirt, you win that. You win that.
This is my go-to.
That's right. I even tested it on a cruise ship in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico, so I know it works.
No kidding.
Yeah, I texted a girl at the pharmacy here. We pre-programmed the text, and I sent her a text from the cruise ship. And then when I got to port, I called, like, "Did you get that text?" She's like, "Yeah." So I was like, well, I guess it works then. But yeah,
What a
just a way to
trip.
communicate. That's a huge thing for safety and staying high. That's why takeoff and landing are so dangerous. Is because you're near the earth. That's what bites you is the earth. So
Yeah,
that's your
not having
biggest
time.
things. Two biggest things right there. If you'll do just those two things, you'll probably never have an incident, right? If you just own your game when you're low to the ground, that's when you need to be there.
What about weather when you make a decision on whether you're going to fly or not?
Well, there's always a gamble with weather. I just did some filming last night about the weather video I've been talking about for a year. I'm finally putting it together and got the production going on that. And there's so much, man. I kept going off on tangents on this whole weather thing about, oh, and then there's this, oh, and then there's that. Oh, I might have to write something down to make this thing make any kind of sense at all. But it's always changing. It's always moving. There are some consistencies with it. Obviously, if the sun is shining, you're going to be thermals. I mean, you can bank on that, but they're not always the same. The air that is heating and rising is not always the same. Sometimes it's high pressure, sometimes low pressure. You get different, sometimes there's clouds, no clouds. It's just so variable, but being able to learn about it and just spending some time, it took years of just study and practice and flying before I even got like the first inkling of a grasp on it. And I still may not, you always think, like what you need to know, but what's that saying? You don't know what you don't know. But, I knew there were things that I didn't know, but there comes a time when I started to understand it and feel it and even even predict, like there's going to be something right here that's happening. And then I go there and that thing is happening there. So but that, again, it took years of going out there and practicing and playing around with it before I was able to do anything like that. I would get lucky sometimes and still there's a luck factor. Even after all that, there's times that I miss it. I went up yesterday, actually. It had been raining all day, like just a hard, nasty rain. And then it stopped and the sun poked out. And like 10 minutes later, I was on my way to the field. It had been like several days since I flew. Nobody's here to train because the weather's been so bad this last week or so. So I get to the field and the sun is just like popping and it's hot and there's bugs flying around. Like it felt like summertime, I was like, look at this. And as soon as I took off, I saw a little cloud off in the distance and it was starting to grow. And I kind of looked off the other way and I looked back about 2 minutes later and it's like 3 times the size. It had grown so fast. I believe it was the fastest I've ever seen something develop. And this was 3, 4 in the afternoon. And I just thought, man, that's getting big fast and it's coming right at me. So I'm going to land. And I landed after about 10 minutes and then the whole sky swole up and then it got scary looking for just a second. And then as soon as I got to the house, I set up a camera on it, everything just went to nothing. There was strong winds aloft. That's another huge thing on the weather that you actually can get like raw data on. They do the balloon launches every day, the radio signs.
Yeah, that
So
blows
winds
me away.
aloft are one parameter that you don't have to ever guess at. You can always look at what's going on and know what the winds aloft are doing. So that's something that anybody could do from day number one is learn to read your winds aloft data. And if you see something that's getting real strong, real fast, or changing directions real fast, anything that doesn't look right, just because it's strong doesn't mean it's bad. Maybe it's strong on the ground and it's strong, you don't get that. It's the transitions that'll get you. If it's 0 on the ground and 30 miles an hour at 2,000 feet, there's going to be somewhere in between that's probably going to be raunchy. And again, you see direction changes as well. Those are the things to look for.
Wind shear. That's very good. That's something that we probably have not talked about very much is wind direction. I remember reading something when I was brand new to the sport about if the wind changed over 180 degrees or something, or 90 degrees or 45 degrees, I can't remember what it was, that you needed to not fly. And there's been a couple days where I've watched it switch from all the way south to almost all the way north at Blossom. And those days have been really rowdy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You kind of hope that it's going to straighten out and you might launch somewhere in between, but yeah,
Pick the
having
forecast that fits what you want.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, that
It's
happens
always
a lot.
it's always a crap on the dice. I lost,
Yeah.
And that was the other reason I landed yesterday. I could have gone up high. Obviously, it's usually smoother, higher. And if you got a motor, you just squeeze the gas and go up. But the winds aloft were so strong yesterday that going high would have been a bust anyway. It would have just pushed me way out away from everything I wanted to be near. So staying low, it was garbage, and going high was kind of out of the question. So I just landed. I thought, it'll be another day. And it finally the thermal energy dissipated, but then I still had those strong winds aloft. So I just hung it up. But plus it was wet. I had to pick the shallowest mud puddle to do a layout in because
Oh no.
yeah. I mean, there was no dry spots. I literally had to pick the spot where the water was the shallowest because there was no dry places when I decided to go. But
That's
yeah,
brutal.
it's such a lot of things going on with the weather that, thermal activity, rotor, wind shear, and also it doesn't have to be changing directions. You can have just a massive increase in speed, all blowing the same way. And it's almost the same thing as if it was going opposite, right? If you got this wind that's like real low on the ground, but above it, it's just honking like a big increase. Even if it's blowing the same way, you get rotor in between those two layers. And if it's strong enough, it'll be the same thing. Like say you got 15 miles an hour blowing opposite directions, or you've got like 5 and then 35 blowing across the top of it. You get about the same thing as far as what you feel with the turbulence and, if it's dangerous or not. How fast it picks up as you go up, that's a big thing. I've got kind of this number that I believe somebody told it to me, and I've actually gone up and checked it out. Somewhere between 6 and 8 miles an hour per 1,000 feet. If it increases more than that, it's probably a bad day to go. It goes from being uncomfortable and bumpy to, borderline dangerous if you're not flying right. I've flown in gradients that were stronger than that, up to about 10 every 1,000 feet. And you've really got to be on your game to do something like that. But if it's below 7 per 1,000 feet, that the speed is increasing and the direction is relatively the same, those days tend to be okay. Obviously, there's going to be turbulence and your bump tolerance as your personal preferences as to what you can handle bump wise. But the glider's probably not going to collapse. If you're on an A or B wing and you're on the controls and making the proper moves, if it's 7, 8 miles an hour per 1,000 increase, it's probably not going to be strong enough to send you for a tumble or anything. But if it goes above that, it starts to be. And it also depends on how quick, just because you get a reading from the ground in 2,000 feet, sometimes it's a smooth transition. It just slowly goes up as you go up. And sometimes it's like 5, 5, 5, 5, 25, it's just a sharp, and that's worse. But if you just look at the numbers read the same. So there's something to be said for, looking at what the birds are doing or what the clouds are doing, or can you hear the treetops smacking around? I mean, you take anything into consideration when you're observing and looking at numbers.
We're going to do a giveaway right now because we're at the halfway mark. We're going to give away paraglidingtalk.com t-shirt. And the t-shirt giveaway is brought to you by the Tri-State Skywalkers. If you're in the Indiana, Kentucky, or Ohio area, you can reach out to Brandon McCloud, join the flying club. It'll help you grow in the sport. Maybe you can find a local club near you. If you're interested in starting a club, reach out to Brandon. He'll help you do that. Tri-State Skywalkers is the place to be. The show's also brought to you by iFly Indiana Powered Paragliding. If you're interested in flying paramotors, no place to get the proper training, no better place than iflyindiana.com. Kevin and his team will get your feet off the ground. That's iflyindiana.com. Want to give away a t-shirt if you'll spin the wheel.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
Absolutely. Now I got a shout out. I got a shout out I got to give out. I got a couple of them. All right. First off, Rip Man Riding. You're awesome, brother.
Yeah.
If you could send me your PayPal information, I'll send you the money for your coffee pot. I wasn't able to get it back to you in enough time. He was going to come out Sunday and we just missed connection or something. I have it sitting right here next to me. I was thinking about putting it on the wheel, but I won't. I'll use it for the show. It's something sentimental to me. Next shout out. I want to send a shout out to Joe. Okay. I met Joe at the fly-in Palm Bay. Now Joe knows who he is. I told him I'd keep him. You know, I won't share his last name, but his wife is really, really happy. She picked up an APCO single skin glider, beautiful glider, handled awesome, was absolutely wonderful to pull up and kite. It was awesome, man. So Joe, congratulations on your new wing. That is awesome. So let's spin this wheel, huh?
Jim CR120 said Sean's got a cold. It could be the virus. That's why
Yeah.
he's in the padded room.
No, I'm hoarse because I was helping people with their kiting. I was trying to
He's
help
screaming
them
at
with
people.
some. Yeah. I was trying to help
Translation.
them understand.
Sure, Sean.
Yeah.
Sure.
I was doing what Kyle did to me, you know, except I didn't use the whip on me.
He's
on
been doing
them,
that
you know.
toilet seat challenge I've seen on the internet, haven't you?
Yeah.
What is wrong with people?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, man.
All right, here we go, man.
People have
Like you
lost
see,
their minds.
the chat has been
Wow.
crazy.
There is
Yeah.
126 people right now.
Welcome
What
to
in the world?
Welcome to my world, Robert. So
Sorry,
let's spin
Sean.
this.
Don't
Let's
forget the
spin this
like
wheel.
button.
I know, right? Like and subscribe,
forget-
y'all.
Make sure you hit the subscribe button and a thumbs up if you like the video.
Does it count if you like it if you're the guest? Here, I'm going to do it anyway. There we go.
Yeah, that's
That's not too vain or anything, is it?
nah, nobody will know.
Right. That's right. Oh, shoot. I just told him. All right.
You feel the
winner, chicken dinner.
suspense.
All right, click it. Let's see what happens here. Hits the blank.
Oh,
I knew it.
oh, we got the blank.
We have a winner.
All right, all right. Well,
We
we're
have
gonna
a winner.
have to do this again. There
That's
we
pretty
go.
Amazing.
Another spin. I'm making it completely random here, so that way, if there's no, this is fixed. There's no way this can be fixed.
It wouldn't have shown a blank, right?
Oh no, it brought up a blank to make it more random.
That's right.
Oh, here we go. We
Oh,
got
I thought it was going to be Aaron.
Oh,
Keith Smith.
Keith Smith, congratulations. Keith Smith,
Congratulations.
you are the winner chicken dinner. You just won a paraglidingtalk.com t-shirt. Reach out to me in the chat, Keith Smith, so I can get your details of where to send that t-shirt, paraglidingtalk.com. If you're interested in supporting the show on Patreon or PayPal, you can do that. There's links in the description for just the price of a cup of coffee or so. You can learn something that might save your life or save a friend's life. Maybe you don't even get to watch the show, but you can support the show on Patreon and PayPal. Please do that, especially now that I'm unemployed.
Mark Amundsen sent $2 because he got the virus from Sean.
I got to get back to the chat. Oh, I see it. Go get tested.
I felt so bad about missing that fly-in. I had to. It was my brother's birthday, and he had to go out of town, and it was his turn. Like I had to work for him, and then ultimately, I'm kind of glad I didn't go because we had 2 deaths in the family that weekend. So it was
brutal.
Yeah, poor Jennifer, my wife. She had to put her horse down. That was terrible.
Oh man.
And then the same night, her grandmother died. So it was just like a double tap.
Yeah.
You know?
My dad just lost a horse too not too long ago.
See, that's why I'm hoarse.
It's
See,
my
I'm
dad's
hoarse.
birthday right now.
Oh, wow.
I think I haven't seen him in the chat yet, but happy birthday, Dad. Yeah, it's his birthday today. I sent him an invite just in case he was feeling frisky. You'd come on the show, but I don't think he's going to do it.
See, that's why I'm so hoarse, because Kyle wasn't there to pick up on the other guy that I was helping with this kiting. Because, I had to yell over 2 people like, no, right brake. Yeah.
Hands up. Hands up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what happened to the horse?
It had 2 lame feet, and she's been doctoring them for like a year now. And it just ultimately got to the point where the vets, said there's nothing we can do. The horse is just limping around, and, lame horse. Apparently that's what you do with horses.
Yeah.
If their feet just don't heal once they get, and then its leg it's just in bad shape. It was a rescue horse. We rescued this horse, and it was like starving to death, and we got it healthy. Its last couple of years was pretty good. We fattened it up and gave it a nice place to live. And poor Smokey is wherever horses go.
Smokey, rest in peace, Smokey. That's a bummer. Yeah, our horse, she had a twisted gut, and Yeah. Kind of a
I've heard
brutal.
about that too.
Yeah.
Horses have a lot of issues, man. Paramotors, like, at least you can fix them pretty easily.
We got a question from the chat from Bob Billithrack. I don't know if I read that right. He said, is anyone here familiar with the Sol Lewis large wing? Thanks for the gift, Bob.
I'm not familiar with that glider.
Yeah, I haven't heard that either.
I do like Sol's harness, their new paramotor harness. I guess it's new. It one came on a McFly that I got recently, and I like it a lot. Very comfortable. It's on par with the Dudek power seat comfort, but it's kind of a trade-off, with the power seat comfort. That front lip under your legs is a little softer, but then on the Sol harness, I can sit back a little bit deeper. Even though the front edge isn't as soft, I think I like sitting deeper than I do having that. I don't, it's a trade-off. Again, you take a little bit away from one and then add a little on the other. There's nothing perfect out there, but very nice, very comfortable. Sol products, we'll give them another shot. The first interaction I've had was a good one.
Nice.
But I've not come across any of their gliders. I know they make them, but you ever see many Sols out there?
No, I've never seen a single one. I've seen harnesses, but I've never actually. I think I saw an instrument panel by Sol. Maybe a harness.
And they may
together.
just make accessories like Woody Valley. They only make harnesses.
Oh yeah.
So
by the
it could
way,
be something like that. But
those are, in my opinion, are really good.
I like
need
my Woody Valley.
Yeah. Oh, you have a Woody Valley too.
Yeah.
Woody Valley should sponsor the show.
Heck yeah.
We need to make that
Valley.
happen. Moderators, can you make that happen?
I'm aiming for Elon Musk.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we'll get him. He'll come on.
Yeah.
You just gotta rope him in with something that's enticing. Paramotoring, I bet you he would bite.
One of the guys that was camping next to me drove his Tesla with his paramotor on the back.
Yeah. It's one of the guys.
It was awesome.
Was it Joe?
It's
Joe has a trailer.
Must have been Andrew Finnegan.
Andrew. Yeah.
Andrew.
Okay.
Finnegan. Mark Amundsen said, question from the chat. Kylo, can you speak to the advantages and disadvantages of speed bar? Good question. Who asked that question? That's a good question.
I don't know. Well, the disadvantages in regards to paramotor. Now, speed bar is mandatory equipment for free flight, I think. I mean, it's just part of your toolkit. With a motor, you've got a motor, so it's not mandatory in my book. The disadvantages on a motor would be that it could come loose and get tangled in the propeller. That's the disadvantage of anything on a paramotor, is it could get sucked into the prop and ruin your day pretty quick. The advantages are numerous, right? You can have instant feedback on your wing through your feet. With your trim tabs, you can let your trimmers out, and of course and it depends a lot on the glider. Like certain models of glider, the trim tabs and the speed bar do exactly the same thing. Some models, that's not the case. Sometimes you let the trims out and it changes the profile of the glider, and then the speed bar changes the angle of attack. Again, it's very model specific as far as what's going on, but ultimately speed bar, you can come off of it so quick. If you have a collapse or if your trims are out and you have some crap go on, it's hard to get those things in. There's a big time delay that may be of some importance, right? But if you're on bar and you have an issue, you can immediately come off of that bar in under a second, right? Just dump it and your back trims in, neutral flying position, ready to do your recovery maneuvers. You can also control the pitch with your feet. Whereas with the trims, you're not really letting them, in and out all the time. But with speed bar, you can kind of modulate. I like to just put it on my toes, and I just use my calf muscles to control the pitch of my glider. So, if it rocks back, you can stomp it a bit, and if it shoots forward, you can let off. And basically, you could do the same thing that you can with brake inputs, but you're not dragging the glider down. So, big advantages to speed bar. One disadvantage is using it incorrectly. Now, if you go full bar, that's going to put you closer to a collapse. Basically, 8 out of 10 collapses I have in the wild is when I'm on speed bar, punching in and out of thermals or stuff. It just puts you right there on that edge of collapse because it lowers that angle of attack so much that you're kind of riding the edge, and you really have to feel it and practice it to be good at it. And you know, being a free flight pilot is a big, it gives you an advantage, because hopefully you do practice that when you're out free flying and you kind of know what you're feeling for. And then with a motor, and it's kind of goes both ways. I practice more with a motor and speed bar because I do more motor flying. But then when I get back on my free flight gear, you know, I'm tuned up, I'm ready for action with it. So yeah, speed bar is a great tool. I recommend everybody, you know, learn to use it, practice it, but be vigilant with a motor. I've had 3 times free flying that I've looked over and my speed bar has become disconnected at some point. If that situation were to happen with a motor, it's going to get sucked right back into the stuff back there. So something to be vigilant about. I've not done it recently, but I used to always tape up my sister clips with a piece of tape if I was on a motor, just to make sure that they didn't come undone. And I always try to do something, whether it's run the extra line through the hole there, just anything to keep those sister clips from coming loose is gonna save you a bad day if you're motoring around and those things come through.
Something that I'm absolutely, it's mind boggling how often those 2 clips come apart for my speed system.
Yeah, the first time it totally blew my mind. Like, that can happen, you know, because it's
Yeah.
hard to get them together sometimes. So,
Yeah, it has
yeah.
to be just right. So you think about, I mean, gosh, it blows my mind.
Yeah.
But it's in my flying history, it's probably happened to me, I would say 5 or 6, 7, 8 times maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
And
insanity.
you can just imagine if you do it with a motor all the time, there's going to be
Yeah.
a day when that thing comes loose. And again, the first thing that's going to happen is it's going to go back. So
Yep.
yeah, and they make these little covers. I need to get some. Like I say, I've always just used a little piece of duct tape. You know, I just tear off a little piece of duct tape. I keep a roll in the back of the truck. And when I put those sister clips on, I'll tape them together. But it really gets in the way if you're unhooking and hooking in a lot. Like, it's clearly a hassle almost, but
You could almost
definitely,
use some of that shrink wrap. The shrink tube that you can use
Yeah.
for electrical stuff. That might be a
but again, then taking it off, like disconnecting your wing from your harness, then
yeah.
dang it, now I got to
Well,
undo this stuff.
For me, it'd be pretty simple. I leave my stuff connected until it's time for a new glider, but
Obviously, but with a motor, you know, the first thing you do when you land is
disconnect.
detach, so you can go
Yeah.
dump that heavy motor. So
Yeah,
again, that's the disadvantages that I find are always with a motor. You know, it's not so much with free flight. With free flight, I guess, you know, if it comes unhooked, you just climb up and then rehook it and you're good to go. No big deal. It's never been an issue, but it certainly could become a major issue on a motor. And that's why
Wow.
most of the time I never use one. It's not something that's, you know, a big requirement for motor flying, because you've got that motor, right? You could just go up and down at will, but it's a good tool. It's a good tool. I think everyone, once they become, you know, competent pilots and are able to fly with, you know, first you learn just to fly, right? Take off, land, turn, maneuver, you know, be good at your spot landings. But once you kind of become proficient at all the basic fundamental skills, you know, throw the speed bar in the mix and just focus on becoming good with it, and, you know, setting it up right, getting the links right, pushing it, but go high again, go up,
Yeah.
up, and go try to learn your stuff way up there in the smoother air. And then you know, ultimately you'll become comfortable with using it, and you'll get hopefully good at using it in the right way. You know, and I rarely go full bar unless it is smooth and I'm motoring around. But, you know, even free flying, you know, I about half bar is about all I ever need to press. I'm not racing anybody. I don't do competitions very much. I've done one. I'd like to do the Chelan.
Yeah.
That one looks good, man. I'd like to aim for that one maybe next year.
That looks
I'm going
fun,
in
man.
August up there to the Pacific Northwest just to go fly around recreationally. But if there
We'll
was one
see.
competition that I'm gonna do, it's gonna be that one. Probably in 2021, barring no big catastrophes around here.
I know
So,
if we even have America,
yeah,
they're talking about shutting down everything for 18 months.
really. I don't
That's
think they could do that,
insanity.
man. That's not America then.
Yeah, it
That's
won't be
China.
America.
And
Yeah.
next they'll be welding our doors shut.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
what's up?
Scary.
Minyard came to the party.
Yeah, Minyard. He's been lurking for a little while.
Yeah, I
think
seen
he's-
Mini Matt on there. I wondered if that was him.
Yeah. Minyard.
It was
Did you
awesome
hear us?
meeting him there too.
Yeah, he told me he was going. I was so bummed about not being able to go to Florida. And I am going like in a couple of weeks, like down there for a space launch. That was another thing that was really the reason I was going to go, mainly was to go see that. But then and the deaths in the family wasn't that wouldn't have stopped me from going, because obviously they happened after I would have left. But it was just fate that it happened that way. But yeah, it was my having to work here at the store. And with the virus outbreak, oh, can I say that word? Oops.
It's too late. We already blew it in
Late.
the beginning.
Ah,
I
maybe
think
they're
I
not
did it.
watching. So, but yeah, the drugstore is just, this place has been rocking. It's like 3 or 4 days ago was the busiest I'd ever seen it. And we were shorthanded because we had some people out with like regular stuff, like being sick and whatnot, kids sick, out of school. It's we've had a shortage on employees here, but it was busy, man. It had me hemmed up. Like literally the only break I got was to go take a whiz one time. And the rest of the time I was standing here banging away, phones ringing off the hook. I mean, you say stuff like that pretty regularly, like, oh, I was busy, I didn't even get a break. But in quite the literal sense, I was here for 10 hours without a break, and it was
Eesh.
pretty brutal. And you don't feel it until you go home and you can't bend your toes.
Yeah.
Like, you like cringe because your toes don't bend because you've been standing on them for 10 hours in one spot. That hurt. It hurt
Mom,
physically.
Mom gave $50 to the show. Thanks, Mom. Appreciate
Oh,
that.
heck yeah.
Hold on,
Good
let me
stuff.
cue the clapping. Matt Minyard, can you hear me? Can you hear me now? I can't hear him if he's talking. There's a way to it says lift your hand, and he's got his hand raised in the chat. If you're in our little private live stream, he's over there hanging out. Yeah, man. Lots of big things coming. Yeah, I see Mini Matt raise his hand. Can Minyard, can you hear me? I don't have any audio coming from him. Let me see here.
Probably had the same deal I was dealing
There
with.
it goes.
I see they have a big screen over the fireplace they're watching.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Where are you at, Matt Minyard?
I recognize that background. He's on the space station.
Hello? Hey. Hello.
There it goes. I can
You
hear
can
him
hear
now.
his microphone now. Yeah.
All right. I figured I'm live.
We're doing it live.
I'm thinking houseboat. I've heard him mention a houseboat. Or was that a
So?
brick fireplace?
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Fake bricks.
Those ballast.
Yeah. There was a couple other questions in the chat. Moderators, did you guys catch any of those?
Yeah, I did catch one. It was asking Kyle if he connects his speed bar before he takes off, or if he connects it after he's taken off.
Before. Yeah, I always connect it before I take off. That's part of my pre-flight.
It's like delayed from this to this.
I think we'll have to mute Minyard.
Yeah, I had to mute him for a second. Sound came through.
Heck yeah.
What was the other one?
There was some earlier about what wind apps or weather apps they use to check winds both on the ground and aloft, which ones are preferred over others.
If it's an actual reading, airports have actual reporting stations at most of them. If they've got a weather station there, your closest airport will give you live data, what's going on right then and there, if you can access it. As far as apps, there are probably numerous ones that have that. Just the internet though, just the noaa.weather.gov. You can pick where you're at, and it'll usually give you your closest reporting station, the time and all the conditions that were going on. Now, obviously things change, wind, it gust and lulls and all that. So surface winds, just being on the field, doing an observation, you look at the forecast models, they'll give you what it's supposed to be. And they're usually pretty close, barring some big change going on. But if you're, you see some variation though. Sometimes they miss it, especially if something's changing. They usually get the changes right, but they don't usually get when the change happens. So, so I've quite often caught myself on the field and it'll say, an hour before sunset, it's going to drop from, 12 down to 5 and it'll be beautiful. And then it's 12 until 10 minutes after sunset. Then it drops down to 5. And so they get the numbers right, but the timing is wrong. And again, they all use the same models, the weather models, the GFS, global forecasting model, the HRRR, the North American 3, North American 12. Those are the ones that have the most accuracy, at least around my part of the woods. And, GFS has a less resolution, but you can look further into the future. And then the more accurate ones, the higher resolution models are pretty dang accurate, but they don't see, but maybe just into the next day.
Right.
So, calling the weather is pretty tricky if you're looking past tomorrow, really.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if it's showing like, maybe there's rain coming through or something like that. When, how long, all that stuff is kind of up in there usually, especially if you're looking more than a day or two away. Usually it'll happen, but when, right? That's what you're trying to bank on. So
there's 2 more questions from Jim CR120, and he asked this earlier and I forgot about it. He said, if your PPG gear was to be replaced, what wing, frame, harness, and motor would you replace it with? What's your gear of choice these days?
That's pretty question. Tough, man, because I've got a trailer full of gear. And so I'm constantly replacing it all the time, Quite often I find myself grabbing, this depends on the mission, right? What's the flight? What are you doing with the flight? I might grab a Moster, I might grab an Atom 80, I might grab that 2-liner Xeno, I might grab, the Hadron or that Carve that Minyard loaned me. I've been flying it a little bit lately. Or, a Dudek Universal. It just, what am I fixing to do? What's the conditions? The single skin. Sometimes you grab the wrong glider. I don't know if y'all saw that video where I was getting my butt handed to me backwards across the farm. But it was,
oh no!
I should have grabbed a faster glider that day. I was flying backwards and didn't mean to. It was pretty.
What were the wind speeds?
While. 25.
Oh wow!
Yeah, probably gusting upwards of that. It picked up, got nasty, and I got my pants down, so to speak. That was fun.
Mad Minyard, you're on the air.
He must be on dial-up.
Yeah.
It is muted.
Fun stuff. But
hey,
no,
okay, is it still muted or we good?
Yeah, we got
There
it.
you go.
Wow. Brutal.
Go ahead, Matt.
Brutal. Too bad. Hey, I don't know if the signal's any good, but I'm here. I can hear you guys.
Yeah. You made it.
What up?
We're talking about if you had to replace all your gear. The question was if you had to replace all your gear and get new stuff, I guess. What would you get? And that's such a hard question because what are you doing that day, right? Like it all depends on the conditions.
True.
And I know I'm in a lucky spot to have all this different gear available, but if you just had one thing, I would try to get something that I'm loaded pretty much near the top. That's something I had enough power that I could climb without, too much afterthought. Not that climbing, I hear a lot of people talk about, I want the Moster over the Atom 80 because I'm going to need to climb fast. But if you're in a situation where you're having to rely on that motor to get you out of something, you've probably made the wrong decision already about whatever it is, because your climb rate should never be affected by anything, right? You should never rely on that or have to bank on it, right? You should fly in a style that allows you to land or to climb out slowly wherever you're flying. That's a huge part of making the right safety decisions. So if you're in a spot that you have to have a Moster to clear the trees before you run out of field, well, you picked the wrong field, my friend. You need to
Yeah.
reevaluate something else besides
Yeah.
your motor choice. And but yeah, it's
That's pretty true.
yeah, something with weight shift capabilities, a comfortable harness, and a
Yeah.
solid wing. I mean, there's so many good options. God, that's a tough question. I wished it was just a simple answer. Be like, get yourself a flat top Dominator, right? Nothing else. Nothing else. That's what you should get if you have to replace all your stuff, right? But no, that's not the right answer, by the way.
Now I gotta say, Jim
got a thumbs up.
CR120, he is a man of many very good questions. I mean, he'll be like blah 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 blah, blah 10 questions. It's like, whoa, like wow, good stuff.
Heck yeah.
Steve Parker just donated $10 to the super chat, and he said, "Here's some free money because you have cool people on here like Matt Minyard."
Right on. Right on. That's right.
Thanks, Steve. Appreciate that, man.
That is right.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm at Steve's house.
Oh, you're at Steve's house right now? Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
Is that the
Hey,
youngster that was kiting earlier?
This is Wyatt. He flies. I taught him how to fly. Also, he's 10 years old.
Nice.
Good job, dude.
Mm-hmm.
What does he use to fly? What motors he use?
He flies a McCloud with the Atom 80. That's the
Okay.
motor he flies. Yeah.
Nice. I'm glad my kids
and
are
we're
watching this
building
right
him
now.
a full custom. We built him a remote control airplane motor, paramotor. A full custom one at 30 pounds. So
Wow.
we've made him a special one, but he's been
That's
flying
awesome.
the Atom 80 until this point.
Wow, that's amazing.
What wing is he
Mhm.
using?
We flew him on an Atlas 221. It's a B glider and smallest size, extra small.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. Pretty
Wow.
cool.
My mom
Future
just donated $50 more. Thank you, Mom.
I get my bowl of rice. Yes.
Lucky this time, Sean.
If you're on TV, why? Yeah. So if if you had to pick one kit, I'd go with the Moster 185 over Atom 80, but that's because I want to do tandem and take one motor everywhere and fly really high and do all sorts of different stuff. So if you're just the basic guy that's flying around, I'd go Atom 80 all the way. I bet most people who are listening are like flying basically, taking off at low levels.
Yeah.
Things like that.
It's good for vlogging. When a lot of times I'm making videos where I'm talking, and that Atom 80, like the sound quality on the mic when you got that 80 rolling is so much better than the Moster blasting off too. It's it's pretty neat.
It's
I'm
smooth.
curious, is there a
Doesn't
3-blade
shake
option for the Atom?
I don't know.
I wonder.
Probably is,
That would be
Never
like
gotten it.
that would be like the quietest thing you ever strapped on, probably.
I
3-blade
wonder if
on an
they
Atom 80.
would they have to bring the size of the props down for that Atom 80 to spin the 3?
Yeah.
Bring the pitch down when you do that.
Yeah. Heck yeah, man.
Well, we're at that
Yep.
7:00 mark. We're going to go to the after show. If you're interested in joining the after show and you're a Patreon, just put your information in the chat, and one of the moderators is going to write that down or send you an invite. We're going to go to the after show. Thank you so much for coming on. If you're in the chat, I'm going to leave that rolling for just a few more minutes. And thank you so much for your contributions. Mom, thank you. Mom donated $100 to the show tonight. Thank you so much for all the patrons and the supporters of the show to keep this thing going. Invite somebody out. 2 more sponsors that are sponsors of the show. Lone Star Paramotor is a sponsor of the show. Go check out their website. There's a link in the description. Ron Turan and his guys at lonestarparamotor.com. That's the website. The show is also brought to you by Torrey Pines Glider Port. If you want to learn how to free fly in the most beautiful place in the United States, you can reach out to Max Marion or any of the guys there at Torrey Pines, and their website is flytorrey.com. So appreciate them and supporting the show and supporting what's going on. Hey, thanks Mitch Briggs for the bowl of rice for Sean. I'll make sure he gets that. He's right there in that room.
That was great.
Perfect timing. And also check out resurgenceppg.com. They have a great website. And I think we got a new sponsor tonight.
Kylo School of Paramotor.
Yeah. Kylo School of Paramotor. No, Matt Minyard. He wants to be a sponsor of the show. He messaged me earlier. So we'll have some logos and stuff to make up, and we'll make that happen, Matt. And I'm excited for that. And we'll get some links for the description for that. We'll get some logos and all that good stuff put together. Really appreciate that. And excited to have another sponsor for paraglidingtalk.com.
.com.
Kyle O is a champ, man. Thank you for look, he's still at work, bro. So do you punch your card right after this and then you leave?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Riding that clock, baby. Riding that clock.
That's awesome. Well, guys, we're going to go to the after show. Thank you so much. This is where the most fun happens. So come hang out with us. We will catch you on the next one. If I don't see you on the air, I'll see you in the air. Have a good one. Hang in there, everybody.
Night, y'all.
All right. I have to do this the right way. Otherwise the chat's going to stop.